Good evening, folks. Timber Drifter here. I was just outside finishing a smoke in the Nording. I can't really see in there, but what I was smoking was my cherry blend, which is 1 part CAO or KO cherry bomb to 3 parts Peter Stockeby, Virginia. I have not previously been a big smoker of cherry blends, not that I haven't tried quite a few. You can see it in there. It's actually pretty nice looking tobacco, I think. It packs well. That cut is just easy to work with. But anyway, it's an excellent smoking tobacco. And the cherry at that ratio is not overpowering and actually pleasant. It's a nice break from my Balkans and Virginias and flakes and things, stronger tobaccos. My coworkers seem to enjoy the smell, and passers-by make pleasant comments. And I think the red stain of this pipe somehow fits with a cherry tobacco. So I've decided to dedicate this pipe to that blend. But anyway, I've been reading this evening, like I do most evenings. What I'm reading is this book here, which is John D. MacDonald is the author. And it's called Shades of Travis McGee, and it's a collection of 3 novels. John D. MacDonald was an excellent writer and a pipe smoker. As some of my favorite authors have turned out to be pipe smokers, but that's neither here nor there. So he wrote more than just Travis McGee novels. He wrote quite a few other books as well. And he wrote quite a few books in total. I'm not even sure of the number. I know that I haven't read them all. But I've been reading him for about 3 years now. And I just really enjoy his stuff. It's so well crafted. The characters are great, you know. They're almost real people. You could meet them somewhere, you know. And the things that he discusses, boy, he doesn't leave anyone out. He covers all the things, good and bad, about society and human nature. It's all woven into his stories. But the Travis McGee character, kind of a private investigator, sort of. The character lives on a boat that he won in a poker game on a marina outside of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, most of the time. Korean War veteran, and just kind of generally a bum. He works when he needs to, when he needs money or wants something. And what he does for work is recovery. And that's when someone, usually a very wealthy person, has had something stolen or lost something and they cannot get it back through legal means. He's contacted and he will do his best to get it back, whatever it is, and he takes half or half of the value. And he usually comes out dirty, feeling dirty and disturbed by the whole thing. But the writing is excellent. The commentary on society is beautiful. And there's enough sex and violence to keep everyone interested. But what I was reading tonight, and I'm reading the Quick Red Fox, I guess I found it disturbing a little bit in how accurate it seems and how current it seems. And I was thinking about the Affordable Health Care Act, popularly known as Obamacare. And I was thinking, in relation to that, I was thinking about how it's hard to remain anonymous or unknown or untracked these days. Now, I don't know of any other situation where you have to participate. I mean, filing taxes, of course, but if you don't make enough money or you choose not to claim your income, then you don't file taxes and you're not known. But with healthcare, everyone is supposed to have it. And I'm not making a moral or political judgment on that. I'm just speaking to the difficulty of remaining anonymous. But basically you have to sign up and say, hey, here I am, I'm doing this or I'm not doing this, and you guys now know that I'm here. Anyway, and as kind of a myself, as sort of a dweller on the fringes of society, I find that a bit disturbing. But this story here, he says some things, the character says some things, and I'm just going to read a little bit here. I get this crazy feeling every once in a while. I get the feeling that this is the last time in history when the offbeats like me will have a chance to live free in the nooks and crannies of the huge and rigid structure of an increasingly codified society. 50 years from now I would be hunted down in the street. They would drill little holes in my skull and make me sensible and reliable and adjusted. I am, to put it as bitterly as possible, a romantic. I know a windmill when I see one, by God, and I sneer at my white horse. So it's 2014, and I just find it interesting that this particular story was published in 1964. That's 50 years, and it just seems strange to me, 50 years from now I would be hunted down in the street. They would drill little holes in my skull and make me sensible and reliable and adjusted. Now that's not happening. Physically, anyway. But there is this big push to be part of the grand whole, and one feels the need to do as the coworkers and the neighbors and so on and so forth do, and be part of this. Anyway, so on another section, he had to travel to California to track some people down, and he's commenting on the state of affairs there in a town of Santa Rosita. I don't know if that's a real town or not. I lived in California for a year, and I don't recall passing through that town. Perhaps I did. It's a huge state. But it's not really about Santa Rosita. It's more about cookie cutter culture. I think of strip malls and all the houses that look the same everywhere, and people wearing the same clothes and styles, and everyone's interested in the same things. And that's what this little bit that I'm going to read now reminds me of. Santa Rosita was a stunted version of the Santa Barbara code of existence. 3 industries, electronics, plastics, and tourist, and squeezed the bejesus out of all 3. It was sharing the big boom boom. The incomparably dull tract houses, glitteringly new, were marching out across the hills, cluttered and with identical station wagons, identical children, identical barbecues, identical taste in flowers and television. You see, Virginia, there really is a Santa Rosita, full of plastic people, in plastic houses, in areas noduled by the vast basketry of their shopping centers. But do not blame them for being so tiresome and so utterly satisfied with themselves, because you see, there is no one left to tell them what they are and what they really should be doing. The dullest wire services the world has ever seen fill their little monopoly newspapers with self-congratulatory pap. Their radio is unspeakable. Their television is geared to a minimal approval by 30 million of them. And anything 30 million people like, aside from their more private functions, is bound to be bad. Their schools are group adjustment centers, fashioned to shame the rebellious. Their churches are weekly votes of confidence in God. Their politicians are enormously likable, never saying a cross word. The goods they buy grow increasingly more shoddy every year, though brighter in color. For those who still read, they make do for the most part with the portentous gruntings of Urus, Woke, and Rand, and others of that same witless ilk. Their magazine fare is fashioned by a nervous committee. You see, dear, there is no one left to ask them a single troublesome question, such as, what have you been, and where are you going, and is it worth it? They are the undisturbed, the sleep lovers, and they fill out an enormous number of forms every year, humbly and sincerely. Each one is given a number to use all of his life. Are they going to be awakened with a kiss? They feel vaguely uneasy about their young. My God, why can't these kids appreciate this best of all possible worlds? What's wrong with these restless punks? These goddamn dropouts? Virginia, dear, through the strange alchemy of the gods, there are a disproportionate number of kids coming along these days with IQs that are soaring toward a level too high to measure. These kids have very cold eyes. They are the ones who, one day, will stop playing with transistors, diodes, microcircuitry, and look at Barren Town, and start asking the rude questions, or build a machine that will ask. In the meanwhile, Virginia, Santa Rosita still exists, and it is as if some cynical genius has designed a huge, complex penal colony in the sunshine, eliminating the need for guard towers and barbed wire by merely beaming a gigantic electric message at the inmates day and night saying, "You are in heaven, be happy. If you can't be happy here, you can't be happy anywhere. Vote, consume, donate, and don't forget to use your number." Yeah, style, consumerism, urban sprawl. Be like your neighbor, be plastic. If you're watching this and you're a pipe smoker, although we do follow our own styles and trends to a degree, you're likely not as plastic as your neighbor. And this situation that we find ourselves in bears consideration. Or not. I haven't decided yet. But I'm thinking about it. Anyway, it's a good read. John D. MacDonald's an excellent author. Was an excellent author. And he had a lot of things to say. Well, I shall continue.